Hello dear ladies and gentlemen, I am Vitold and you are likely here to know whether to choose the new BMW F 900 GS or a Suzuki V-Strom 800D as your next mid-size adventure motorcycle. If that's so, then great, as I've ridden both of these and happened to ride all motorcycles available on the market from within this category, and also all large adventure motorcycles that I've compared all together in my huge adventure motorcycles comparison. Huge as it's a big piece of work, but it's also about the large adventure motorcycles out there. It is linked in the description of this video for you to check later on. Now here we've got two very hot pieces of machinery, as the BMW just got updated recently before this video, and an upgrade from the previous BMW F850 GS is huge. V-Strom 800D is a new animal for Suzuki and it's a first in this segment, which is why so many riders get very excited about it. The legend of a V-Strom is doing well, and this bike is a really strong contender with a powerful offer on the market. But which one is better and which one should suit you better? I'll help you with this question in this video. It's divided into parts that I am assessing individually, as you may consider certain aspects of a motorcycle as having different value for you guys. We're all different and we may view some aspects in a different perspective. So in order to help you in the best way, I believe, at a time I will only focus on a given category and unveil which one wins in that given area. In the end, I will give you my personal favorite out of the two overall. Let's start off with the engine and performance. Here we've got BMW with a larger engine than Suzuki. It is also more powerful. There is 895 cubic centimeters of its two-cylinder inline engine. There is 105 horsepower, 93 newton meters of torque versus Suzuki's 776 cubic centimeters of displacement of its two-cylinder inline engine as well. But there is 84 horsepower, so 21 horsepower less, and 78 newton meters of torque, so 15 newton meters less here. One could say that obviously BMW will be more explosive, and that one would be very right, if not for the fact that numbers in the case of BMW don't actually reflect what is going on with its new engine. It used to be dull, while now it's an erupting volcano that's super explosive if you want it, while being very smooth at the same time. It's one of the most exciting engines now, especially in dynamic mode. Totally effortless, which is awesome, especially till 120 kilometers per hour, as there is enough flexibility till then. Also, the transmission is absolutely fantastic, with the best quick shifter in the game out there. What is worth mentioning is the heat management is perfect as well. Now Suzuki is less powerful, but it's not a very slow bike. The thing is that it's so much less exciting in this whole area of performance. It's still flexible, but it loses explosiveness at higher RPMs, so you expect more and more fun going up close to the red line, but it's not there, so it results in a disappointment instead. Vibrating foot pegs make it more dramatic, especially that there is already rubber on them. The level of tickling is crazy. Heat management is rather fine. Quick shifter works harder and much harsher than in a BMW, so BMW for the win. No questions asked here. It demolishes Suzuki in this field and is so much more exciting in my opinion. The second category of comparison is handling. And in BMW it's a bit too hard to move the handlebar left and right. The bike is under control, but it gotta be pushed at speed and needs time to change directions. There are no issues when accelerating and braking at all, but it could be better when you are at the lean and then changing directions. Now then, Suzuki is simply amazing at turning at lower speeds. There is incredible ease of turning with plenty of satisfaction before you reach like 80 kilometers per hour. You may love it before that. Above 80 kilometers per hour, it does not want to turn anymore, so there is a disappointment, and it requires a lot of force to make it go where you want it to go. Riding under 80 is easily a 9 out of 10, but in total it's a 7 out of 10 here. Now, crawling under 20 kilometers per hour is not perfect either, as there is long front suspension, so it's not that super precise. Suzuki is better at lower speeds, BMW at higher speeds, but I'd like to give it to Suzuki, as the experience between 20 and 80 kilometers per hour is simply stunning, and it may make you fall in love with this bike totally. So riding in the city, handling wise, Suzuki may be the preferred choice. The third category to compare the bikes in is suspension. Both bikes have 21-inch front rims and 17 inches in the rear. BMW has the tires that are tubeless with spoke rims, while Suzuki has them with tubes and also spoke rims. BMW F900 GS that you see me testing has a very adjustable suspension in this Enduro Pro pack in the front and rear. It's done manually, but all is accessible without tools, which is great. The suspension is a bit stiffer than I'd like it to be overall. There's 23 centimeters of suspension travel in the front and 21.5 centimeters of travel in the rear. Front end doesn't dive much and it feels planted, and ground clearance is unknown, while in Suzuki it's 22 centimeters, quite a lot. Suzuki not having tubeless tires presents some additional trouble for regular riders, I believe. I'm not sure why is that, but there is still 22 centimeters of suspension travel, so close to BMW, or rather close to BMW's average. The front suspension of Suzuki is soft and it dives more than in BMW in my opinion. Overall it is a soft suspension setup and much softer in comparison. Now what that leads to is amazing suspension comfort, which is very impressive and very relaxing. Suzuki gives us a manual adjustment, but it requires tools in the front. Still, it is super comfortable and I'm loving it. I much prefer that over BMW's very adjustable but stiffer setup. So to me, Suzuki is a big winner here as I personally love comfort. The seat and position comfort, so a very important aspect of riding a pretty much touring motorcycle. Here we've got Suzuki's unusually comfortable seat that's at 85.5 centimeters and is not adjustable, and BMW's harder seat, and that is shaped fairly well. BMW's seat is rather comfortable to me, but it makes me slide forward. It is also taller at 87 centimeters, and I feel like I would like it more if it were like 1 centimeter lower. I'm 1 meter 83 centimeters tall, or 6 feet tall. Suzuki's seat is also nice in terms of width and shape, but it also allows me to easier move forward and backward to adjust the position if I want to, if you guys want to keep that in mind. On the other hand, the handlebar of Suzuki feels just a little too far forward from the rider. BMW's one also makes me bend forward a little bit, but I feel it is more comfortable and natural for me to sit on BMW. It's got installed, this particular version, handlebar risers with this version with a Enduro Pro pack. So let's keep that in mind as well. It's not a totally standard bike in here with no accessories. It's got that pack. So it's got a wide handlebar, but it's Suzuki that feels like its handlebar is a bit too wide. So in this aspect, I do prefer BMW. In terms of foot pegs, in BMW, they are located perfectly, and I've got a fine knee angle. The foot pegs on a Suzuki are okay, and the knee angle is fine as well. Now, overall, because of the difference in seats, Suzuki is my pick and a winner here. I guess you might have guessed that seeing my electrically adjustable office chair. It is from Power Seats. It's a 7G11 model and it moves in 18 ways electrically. It is cool stuff. Check them out on Instagram or linked in the description of this video. Now, number 5 is wind protection, and on one hand we've got not adjustable windscreen from BMW that is not very good, and over 100 kilometers per hour it's simply bad, and Suzuki's theoretically adjustable windscreen that practically I wouldn't count as adjustable as this needs tools. In the highest position and above 80 kilometers per hour it is not helpful, the one in Suzuki. It's anyways, but overall there isn't much turbulences, but just the windscreen is loud while the bike is quiet itself, so whatever. Suzuki wins here. Then there are brakes, and F900 GS, they are good, as in all BMWs. Suzuki has got a good rear brake, while the front one needs to be squeezed firmly in order to give you what you want from it. It is fine in both, but I feel BMW is a bit better. It's not a night and day difference, however. Drivetrain, but here we've got both motorcycles having chains, with the main difference being that BMW has it golden and Suzuki doesn't. Well, it's a tie. Only a drive shaft may win, and so there is no winner. Moving forward, fuel tanks have different capacity. BMW put a 14.5-liter tank on the F900 GS, while Suzuki did not try to save weight here and gave the bike 20 liters of fuel capacity. What matters is range, but I don't believe that Suzuki would drink 50% more fuel in order to have the same range. So I feel BMW should lose here. The next point is weight, and BMW weighs 219 kilograms with a full tank. It doesn't feel particularly heavy. Now, when moving, Suzuki's 230 kilograms with full tank may feel like more weight, but then it feels lighter due to that ease of low-speed handling, that range. To me, it wins as having more weight. It may achieve a feeling of lightness when riding that is out of the range of BMW. But then there is the category of tech, and you know what's going to happen, don't you? Well, BMW has keyless ignition, Suzuki doesn't. BMW has keyless fuel cap, Suzuki doesn't. BMW has cruise control and tire pressure monitoring system, while Suzuki cannot have these. Both have riding modes and both have LED front lights that are not cornering. Both can have heated grips. Now, Suzuki has that one push start that I really like, but it's not really a comparison to keyless ignition. Also, BMW switches feel more solid to me, and the display that is an old BMW's unit still feels more upscale than Suzuki's. It goes to BMW. The exhaust sound that BMW wins in, as it's got a factory-fitted Akrapovic muffler that is road legal and it sounds pretty good. In dynamic mode, it sounds even better and deeper. Now, pops and cracks are all there. It is great. Suzuki is very quiet and with not much balls, so it's gotta lose here. You would ask, what about off-roading? And I would say that I still don't believe that these are hardcore off-road motorcycles, but unlike the large adventure motorcycles, I wouldn't be as worried to take either out there. I wouldn't test them there in a hardcore way, so I cannot tell you much, but still, I'm not sure how important this is for the majority of us. On a light gravel road, they both do fine, while in BMW I can stand on the pegs, which is unusual with my height. Suzuki feels like a good off-roader as well and is under control as well, especially with the nice support of the comfortable front suspension. I cannot stand on the pegs with as much comfort as in the case of BMW, but that's just a side thing to mention. So I think I would still go with BMW, but Suzuki also felt fine to me. Still very basic situations. The real number 12 is design, and in my opinion, which is of course totally subjective, BMW looks great, badass, muscular and somewhat pretty. The only thing I may not like is the lack of the real tail lamp and the rear indicators serving as indicators and a tail lamp at the same time. It looks like there is something missing to me. Now, Suzuki that front face, BMW wins to me. And one before the last one is price and the value for money. I'm not sure if and then what happened, but I remember Suzuki being offered for a better price previously before 2025 when I'm uploading this video. In the case of the base versions of both, now BMW is only 13% more expensive than Suzuki, and this is not how I used to remember that. Now, despite the great suspension and better handling, I feel that looking only at the base prices with no equipment packs, BMW may offer better value for money, considering the brand, overall quality, dealerships experience, community, and even the possible equipment and tech options. Suzuki is cheaper, but to me, BMW presents more value at the moment. This does not include maintenance, as this will differ even dealer to dealer and a region of a country to a region of a country. And the last thing to consider in this comparison is the X factor. In Suzuki, I would focus on the lower speeds handling. That is super cool and really exciting. I wish it was there from the beginning, as that would change a lot and make strictly city crawling and riding and filtering traffic amazing, but it doesn't. Suspension being fantastic in terms of comfort is a great feature as well. BMW, on the other hand, has that fabulous explosiveness of its engine that makes me want to jump on this bike and ride like crazy. And it's so evident in combination with this awesome transmission, quick shifter and exhaust sound that I simply value this more. And in terms of X factor, I choose the new BMW F 900 GS. So what about these two in general? Both are really cool. Suzuki may suit a calmer rider that cares more about comfort and cares nothing at all about the design. BMW is taller, it is less comfortable, but it's a crazy bike, like a fun bike with a more powerful engine that wants to rip the asphalt and wrap it around its rear wheel. BMW wins in engine performance, in brakes, in tech, sound, design, value for money, and X factor. Suzuki takes the win home in the categories of handling, suspension, seat and position comfort, wind protection, fuel tank and weight. If going for a mid-size adventure bike, I personally would prefer to go with the BMW just to have some fun around. For long touring, I would choose a more stable and still powerful large adventure bike. So for this purpose of light fun around, BMW is my choice. I hope you enjoyed it and you found it informative. To learn more about each of those, check my full honest reviews of them linked in the description of this video, and check other direct comparisons on my channel. See you there in those videos.